Welcome to the Stepmom Side with Alicia Crasco, the podcast for stepmoms ready to create the life they want and one they actually have a say in. Here we talk all things stepmom life and just a little bit more. Leave the superficial conversations at the door and get ready for perspective shifts and actionable advice to help you on your way to creating the life you want, one step at a time. Hello, Brittney. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Alicia, for having me here.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. So obviously I know who you are, but you're the first stepmom coach I'm interviewing. So can you tell my listeners a little bit about you?
I'd love to. I'm honored to be your first stepmom friend on here. A little about me. Where do we start? I was a single mom several years ago and kind of thrown back into the dating world. Had just recently gotten divorced, but I was a full-time mom. When I don't know why this part is coming out, but I didn't really want to date men who were married because I had a lot of hesitation with that. I was like, who had been married. That's what I mean. Who divorced.
Yeah, right.
And not currently married.
Right, yeah.
That would still be a no. But I was like, yeah, I don't want to date someone that's a dad. I was young enough. I was in my 20s still. And just had a lot of hesitation about that. But as I was dating around, I was like, you know what, this isn't working out.
Slim pickings.
Like none of these guys are ready to be a dad today. And so I was like, I need to broaden my mindset here and kind of look at the other people in the pool.
Lower your expectations.
Yeah. And that's when I came across my husband. It's a long story, but like an embarrassing way we met. But I came across him and I was like, oh, this guy has potential. And things happened really quickly with the two of us. He had a son, I had a daughter, they were only 3 years apart, the kids, and we had a lot of the same values, which was like the biggest thing I was looking for. So things moved quick and I just had like the most beautiful idea of what was going to happen for our family. I was like, we've got this figured out. Like, I'm a school teacher. I know how to deal with kids. This is going to be perfect. We've got the values, and it's just going to work out beautifully.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's why I'm a stepmom coach.
Oh, really? Is that why you're a stepmom coach?
I'm just so good at it. No. I wish that's how my story went, but it was a slap in the face with reality.
Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth, right? Because granted, I had never been married before and I didn't have any kids, but same thing, kind of, I was like, I don't know about dating somebody with kids. And then you always get great advice from your girlfriends, like, oh, I could never date somebody with kids. And you're like, awesome, thanks. That's so helpful. Because like in your situation, like I have kids, right? So what does that make me? Chopped liver? And then you're like, oh, I like kids, or, I can deal with kids. Like they always like me. And then reality hits and you're like, oh, this is not what I signed up for.
Exactly. I thought it'd be like, my school kids liked me. I thought, oh, for sure, my stepson's gonna think I'm the greatest thing. And he did when we were dating. He liked me while we were dating.
Yeah. Okay, that's the craziest thing, right? Like, so you're dating and everything is awesome. And then reality hits. And then you move in together. And then it's like, oh God, she's not going anywhere.
Here she is. And like every member of the family, it felt like this competition. Like, this is our space. Why are you in our space? Get out. Or, why are you trying to take my mom's place? Or you're not my dad, type of like, what is happening? Or I'm the only child. Why are you in my spot now? Like, there can't be two of us. And that happened. All the things happened.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can only imagine. Is your daughter older than your stepson?
She is younger. She's the younger one.
Okay. Okay. Well, at least like she didn't take his like older child. Like, I'm the only one. He still had like his hierarchy of whatever.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So do you think that there was a competition like with your extended family of like, this is my space, whatever. Do you ever feel like your daughter felt like that?
I think all of us truly felt that way at the beginning.
Mhm.
Just the fact that we like had moved into their house.
Oh,
It
okay,
was like,
okay.
this was already our house.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you here now?
Yeah.
Type
Oh
of
my
thing.
gosh,
Like
yeah.
we're all shuffling around trying to make bedroom situations work, and it
So
was
you moved
hard.
into their house.
Hmm.
Oh, I did that too. That's wonderful, isn't it? It's great.
I wouldn't recommend it, but sometimes I had I thought everything was going to be really good. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So how long have you guys been married now?
we've been married about almost 9 years.
Okay.
And we ended up having two more kids together. So we've got four kiddos total.
Okay. Okay, like to stay on the house thing, do you feel like all of the anxiousness that you felt in the beginning now, or has it subsided at all? Like, has it gotten better?
Oh, for sure. Like we're total I could not have even fathomed that we would be where we are today.
Right. Yeah.
9 years ago.
Yeah.
There was just so much tension. I literally couldn't see any way forward
Hmm.
at the time, and it felt completely hopeless. I felt super out of place, kind of alone, and really uncomfortable, awkward about all the things. Felt hated by everybody, right? Just all this pressure to be the perfect mom and stepmom, but not be the mom, but also like everything was just so contradicting all the time.
Oh my
Do
gosh.
this, but don't do that, right? I
Yeah.
think
All of
many stepmoms feel that way.
Yeah, right. All of the responsibility, but absolutely none of the authority to like do anything about it. Yeah.
Right, right.
And
And
I'm
then
sure
when
it
you're
was,
also a mom, like it makes it that much more complicated. Like, but I
yeah,
am a mom.
right. But not this one's mom. Do you feel like
Yeah.
your daughter ever saw that? Like, okay, I have these expectations or these rules in our house, but he doesn't.
Oh yeah, there's been so many times like that's not fair. Like, but this is happening here. Why isn't this happening here? I mean, that's a constant
Yeah.
years,
Oh my
years
gosh,
of
yeah.
that.
And so are the custody schedules the same or like were they the same early on? Or are they completely different?
They are not the same. They're pretty different. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
One is with us full time and the other one is back and forth. So
Okay. Yeah. So is your daughter with you full time and your stepson? Okay. That's what I would
yeah,
have guessed. Which, yeah, I think it makes it harder because then she's moving into his house and is going to be there more often. And he's the one that's coming and going. And oh my
exactly.
gosh. I can
Yeah.
imagine like how easy that made everything.
Yeah, right.
Oh my
You can
God.
feel the sarcasm dripping.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Insert
Yeah.
like the
And
nervousness
then
there.
we add in like this is a common issue I see with a lot of my clients who are already moms and they're kind of blending both the families here, where I already had like a family unit. We had our own rules, we had our own routine, and he also had all of that in his little family unit. And
Hmm.
now we're trying to combine. What a
Hmm.
nightmare. Like we have different rules about things. We have different bedtimes. We have like, you
Yeah.
know, the routine is different. And so trying to kind of mesh that it is like a maze. It's
Yeah.
just jumping through. You really have to be on the same page as a couple.
And it doesn't matter how aligned your morals, your values, your whatever you think a marriage should look like when you're trying to navigate parenting, completely different. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you've added two additional kids. Do you feel like it got easier when you added the two additional kids, or it's still like chaos? Both?
um so right the first adding the first one was harder because the kids were super nervous, and probably the parents were a little
Yeah.
bit nervous too, like what is this going to look like, how is the dynamic going to change. um like I had confidence that it was going to be okay, but the kids, like my daughter will still tell me like that scared me to death. I like, were you going to forget about me?
Oh,
What was
yeah.
that going to look like? um I know my stepson was really hesitant to even like this baby,
Really? Okay.
And that was a brief little moment. As soon as this new baby was born, a lot of those worries and fears kind of just melted away. And this new little person brought us all together, like made
Right.
us stronger. Like
Yeah.
this, there's no doubt about it. Like this baby belongs to all of us. Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This
I
is
totally hear you.
a connecting piece to the puzzle that we all have a connection to.
And I think that's interesting how you talk about how for a brief moment in time that it was very nerve-wracking, like for the kids, but also for you guys. But then as soon as baby shows up, it kind of like just melts away because
Mm-hmm.
you say it so nicely, like for a brief moment in time. But it's something that if you're considering adding a baby to your current dynamic, it's something that lives rent-free in your head all of the time. Like you want
Mm-hmm.
to be excited, but then also like, what if my stepson's mom like freaks out like in your situation, or like what if she's got feelings about it? What if she's saying something to the kids? What if my daughter is having an issue with it? What if,
Mm-hmm.
it puts added stress on like our marriage because things are already chaotic, right? And then
Right.
you start to question like, is this the right thing to do? Should I have done this? Should I have not done this? And you're like, I'm supposed to be excited about this. Like, I'm supposed to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
happy about this. Like, this is supposed to be a great thing. But there's all of these outside factors that come into play. And I mean, I absolutely had that too. Like, I didn't have my own kid before. And so it was kind of the same thing. Like, there's this like kind of unwritten pressure of the hours baby is kind of like you said, the glue that like binds us all together and like links us all together.
Right.
Talk about pressure without
Yeah, yeah.
knowing
For
it.
that kid, yeah.
Right. Yeah. But then like it just worked. Like it just did. Like in our situation, it absolutely, like crazily enough, kind of soothed things over. Like I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
think that it would have gone as smoothly as it did. I had all of these crazy fears, and my husband was so wonderful about being like, it's going to be okay. Like, don't worry about it. Oh, that's really easy for you to say. But I was like,
Yeah.
this is my perception is my reality. And my reality is really freaking me out right now. And,
Yeah.
but I mean, hindsight's always 2020, and it's one of the things that he was very, very right about. And I think that if you're trying to add an ours baby to your dynamic and you're waiting for that perfect time, it's never going to happen.
No, no.
And then you do it and you're like, oh, like maybe it wasn't the perfect time. But it just works. And it's really,
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. No, our kids never would have been, if we'd waited 3 years, they wouldn't have, they would still would have been nervous. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of the best things for our kids. Truly,
Yeah.
like with hindsight. A story I like to share is when we were at the hospital and the baby was born and the kids came to meet the baby. And my stepson was pretty nervous. He's like, I don't
Mhm.
want to hold the baby. I'll look, and really, really hesitant about it. And they're like, well, it's time to go. Grandparents were taking the kids away. And he panicked, the look in his eye, and he's like, I have to hold the baby. I have to hold the baby. And from that instant, like his heart has not been the same.
Ah,
It immediately just softened him and was one of the most beautiful moments I've ever got to witness. Like it was just the sweetest thing. And seeing that different side of him, oh, it was just so good for all of us. It's just such a precious moment. And so when we added the second one,
yeah.
we're like, we've done this before. We kind of know what
Yeah.
to expect and it's going to be okay. There were still some nerves, but not like adding that first one.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it is interesting, like how you say, like you see them soften. I did too. Like my
Mm-hmm.
stepson is like about as tough as you could possibly be. But even now, like my daughter's 4, but whenever he engages with her, it's really funny because like we roughhouse or we like talk smack to each other. But then
Yeah.
with her, he's like, hi, how are you? Or like he's
Yeah.
really gentle with her. And it's really sweet to see. But then it also softens like the lens that you look at them through, right? Which I think
Yes.
really helps so much because then you're like, okay, I need to be cognizant of how I'm acting or responding to like different ways that I'm triggered because whatever or however I show up, my kid also sees this and it's going to rub off on them, right? Because they kind of,
Right.
your own kids follow your own lead. Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that you say like adding an R's baby was wonderful, because like our situation, like it was absolutely wonderful too, like way better than I could have thought that it would be.
Yeah, yeah, it was one of the best best things we've ever done.
Oh my gosh.
So,
So aside from that being the best thing, what would you say the hardest thing about your journey was?
um, I think it was probably so because we were both divorced, we had both had come from tricky relationships. And so it was
Tricky.
like
That's
tricky,
funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
um, getting not becoming so reactive
Mm-hmm.
with each other because we're already in that place of just immediately putting a wall up, really defensive, like super triggered constantly. And we didn't know we were being triggered either.
Yeah.
Like we were in denial. Like
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
healed, I'm good.
Nothing's wrong with me.
But like you can do all the healing you want before you get married. And that's great. Like I had been going to a therapist the whole time. Like I felt really good. And as soon as you're back in another relationship, in another marriage, like immediately begin to be triggered by things I couldn't have been unless I was back in the situation.
Yeah.
So you can only do so much healing on the one side. And so that was like a journey we had to go through together that
Mm-hmm.
nobody could prepare me for.
Yeah.
We had to do it as a team. That was hard.
Right. And I think that a huge misconception is like, okay, I already did the healing. I'm good. And
Mm-hmm.
so growth is linear. Like, I've already got this under control, so I'm going to be good forever. Wrong, right? Like, it's like, and I've
Totally.
talked about this before, but it's you take like one or two steps forward, and then sometimes it feels that you're taking like 30 steps back. And then you're like, I'm never going to get out of this cycle. I'm never
Mm-hmm.
going to go anywhere because I keep going back so much. But and I love that, like you said, like your husband was there and like you guys went through it together. We did the same thing because there were times where I'm like, this is never going to go well. I don't know how much you know about my story, but I spent a lot of time my first year being married, like Googling how to get divorced and like daily almost. But I was like, this is crazy. Like, I didn't sign up for my life to be like this. I didn't sign up to just
Mm-hmm.
be like, I'm dreading what's going to happen, or, never knowing what side of the coin I was going to get dealt that day. Right. And you're just like,
Right.
the unknowns and the uncertainties of being a stepmom are the killers, because you're just like, what is going to happen? When is the next shoe going to drop?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I think
You're
that's,
treading on walking on a tightrope
yeah,
constantly.
right. Yeah. Or you're on thin
Yeah.
ice, but you don't even know.
Right. Right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So when it comes to like being a stepmom, you said that you had a bunch of triggers. Like, what was something that was really triggering for you?
Ugh.
Like, what's the first thing that came to
Uh,
your mind?
so many things. Um
Could give me your top 50.
I don't even can't even pinpoint. A lot of it had nothing to do with the blended family. It just had to do with the fact that I was in a new relationship.
Oh, okay.
Um, that I was like really vulnerable again.
Okay.
Um, so some betrayal,
Mm-hmm.
trauma stuff.
Yeah.
Other things were like personality differences in our kids.
Yeah.
Like I was like, my kid does this. Why does your kid do that? Like,
Right. Yeah.
why aren't they the same? And like, they could not be more opposite.
Okay.
Our kids, like, totally different energies. One's really high energy, really active. The other one's like pretty quiet, lower energy. And we get in our mind like one is right, one is wrong,
Correct. Yeah.
because we're
Mm-hmm.
used to that.
Yep. Yep.
And so that was hard. That was really hard. Um, Now, like fast forward to the future, my other kids they're like a crazy mixture too. And I have like hindsight, they're just kids, they're just normal kids. But at that time, it just felt like a lot. Like sometimes my kids overstimulate me or they get overwhelming for me. Like
Hmm.
today, like now in the summer when they're all home, I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's
Yeah.
not about them as individuals, it's about the energy of children in general. Where
Yes.
before I think I was like pinpointing it on a personality thing, or I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back and redo
A few things like
some
that.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. So I didn't have my daughter at the beginning or any kid of my own at the beginning, but
Mm-hmm.
same thing. I didn't realize, I now realize like I have just one kid and one sometimes is incredibly overstimulating for me and
Yeah.
incredibly overwhelming. And I'm like, I just have a normal conversation with her and I just say, okay, listen, girlfriend, we need to have a conversation. Mommy is feeling like this. And like I shake my hands like
Mhm.
this. My body is feeling like this. That means that I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling anxious or I'm starting to like get really frustrated. I just need some space. Okay. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. And then we can rejoin. But right now, I just need some space. I need a quiet time. We're pretty much past nap time. I mean, she's 4, but
Right.
we do rest time. Like, you don't have to nap, honey bear, but like, we have got to rest because, girlfriend, I need a break. You do.
Yeah,
Right. But at the
yeah.
beginning,
Right.
I I didn't have my own kid, so I was like, it's just because they're step kids. Like I like I can't do this. Like this is a lot. Like
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I mean, I love kids. Like, oh my gosh, they're amazing. But I
Right.
didn't realize like being around them 24/7, how much like going from like 26 and single and like having my own life to like married with 2 kids and they were kids. Like you said, they were kids. And
Right.
so kids are kids and the mess, the noise, the chaos, the schedule changes, the whatever. And I was just like, this is crazy. This is so crazy. So yeah, same thing. Like if I could go back and just give myself the grace to just be, it's going to be okay. We have a lot to learn. I know that you're not going to believe this, but we've got a lot to learn, but it's going to be okay. And it's not
Right.
because you're the stepmom. It's just, it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. So many lessons.
oh my gosh, yeah. But it like I was an expert at like taking things personally. I don't know if you were, but I was so good at it. Were you good at
Oh,
it?
for sure. Yeah. I was like, they did this. That means they hate my guts. And so I'm a
Yeah.
terrible human. And like so much drama.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
made my
I
life
was
so much harder.
yeah, right. Yeah, totally like self-sabotage so many times. And
Hmm.
it's funny because my husband would like totally call me out on it and be like, you're being a little dramatic. And I'm like, and you're being a jerk, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a spade is a spade. Like, let's be honest. Like, he was right. Like, I just
Hmm.
didn't have the emotional bandwidth to like deal with it or understand like what was actually happening. And anything that could possibly have been taken as a slight was totally taken as a slight. Like, they did it because they hate
Right.
me. Like, I'm a terrible
Yep.
person. It's because I'm the stepmom. And it took me forever to say, no, it's not because I'm the stepmom. It's because, I mean, it's not because of me. It's because I'm a stepmom. It's because of my role.
The
And he would say
role.
that to me,
Yeah.
Alicia, it's got nothing to do with you personally. You don't have to take this personally. And I'm like, but I will, and I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so same thing, like when I'm coaching stepmoms through this, I'm like, hey, you and I could switch positions and I would have the exact same situation. Like I
Right.
would be in your position, they wouldn't like me either. And it takes a while to like let that actually sink into, oh, okay, it's not about me. But when you're in the trenches and like you're going through it, it's hard to see the forest through the trees, right? Which is something that
Totally.
my husband would always say to me, like, if you say that to me one more time, like I might lose it.
Stop.
Yeah.
Some, I think we want our husbands to be able to be the ones to like coach us through, but like they can't be the ones most of the time.
No. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're too close to the situation, right? Like they're
hmm.
emotionally invested in us, but they're also really emotionally invested in the other person. And that took me a long time
Right.
too, because I would tell him everything. This sucks and that person sucks and this person did that. And I would like, I was ready, like, brrr, like rapid fire everything.
Yeah.
And one time our marriage counselor said, Alicia, he doesn't need to know everything that you think. I know. Yeah. I was like, what?
Why not?
I know. Yeah. I was like, but he's my person. Like, I have to tell him everything. And she was like, it is not helping you. And no, he doesn't. He's too close to the
Mhm.
situation. And I was like,
Right.
what am I supposed
Right.
to do? And she's like, that's what I'm for. Or
Yeah.
find a friend that you can actually trust. Well, none of my friends were stepmoms. So I had,
Right. Yeah. The same.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And my
Yep.
advice was like, I could never date anyone with kids. Awesome. Thanks. It's really not helpful.
That must be really hard for you. Why did you knew what you were signing up for? Why would
Oh
you
my
do
God.
that?
Yeah, right. Oh yeah. Well, it just came with it. Like you should have known this. Yeah.
Just get over it or go.
Yeah, right. Well, you could just
Yeah.
leave because it's that
Okay.
easy.
Thank you. Thank you
It's really
for
helpful.
your help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
When do you feel like you finally got to the point where you were able to say either out loud or just to yourself, like, okay, this is my part in the relationship. Like, this is my part in everything that is either not going well or is going really terrible. Or are you able to do that?
Yeah, I just don't know if I could pinpoint a specific time. It was pretty gradual, and I never
Mhm.
had like helpful support.
Yeah.
So I figured I had to figure it all out on my own, and it took years and years.
Right.
But I want to say maybe like 5 years ish into
Mhm.
it, I had started having some major shifts in my mindset and some major aha moments. One being like what we just talked about. Oh, this isn't about me. And
Mhm.
like that thought changed everything. This isn't personal. This isn't even about me. Like I get over myself, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's such
Mhm.
a, yeah, it's such a hard thing to do. Um, but the gradual part of it, like once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? Like once you
Yeah,
can see that like this isn't about me, like you can't unsee it.
it's true. Yeah.
And then you're like, dang, I just wasted all that time. Like you said, years, because it took me years
Years.
too. And then once I realized it, and it wasn't like same thing. I didn't have like, okay, tomorrow I woke up and oh, it was me the whole time. Like I did this. But it was, yeah, it was just like a gradual thing. And I'm like, oh, I should probably go back and apologize to my husband and be like, hey, sorry about being a crazy person.
We made it through.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever have times where you're like, I cannot believe we're still married?
Oh yeah, like we barely made it through the first year. I
Yeah,
barely
same. Yeah.
like hanging on by a thread and um I could not even see how it could ever get better than it was. Like it was so awful. I thought this is never I had moments I was like, this is worse than my first marriage. What is happening? Right? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on here? And it took time. It took a lot of vulnerability and seeing myself through like a realistic lens instead of
I'm
trying
perfect.
to turn yeah, seeing how I was affecting everyone in the family.
Yeah. And I think
Like I
that,
could point fingers all day. So yeah,
oh, yeah,
sorry.
for
Right? Like
sure.
I be like, this is what they're doing wrong. This is what they're doing wrong, and I'm doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Like nothing wrong. Like I listen, I didn't bring any baggage into this relationship. Like you did.
Fine.
Yeah, right. Totally fine.
Right.
And then yeah, same thing. Like and everyone shows up with baggage, like whether you come into your relationship as a stepmom, like divorced, or like in
Mm-hmm.
your situation, like divorced and you've got a kid, or you come in with no like relationship baggage, if you will. Like everyone's
Right.
got some sort of baggage, whether it's like your childhood stuff or like previous relationships that you've got. There's always something that factors in because
Mm-hmm.
your perception is your reality, but you're looking at it through your lens.
Right.
And
Right.
your lens isn't always 100% accurate or 100% truthful, which is so weird.
That's hard to admit too. Like, right, to get
Yeah.
over that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it, like you said, like it's so much easier just to like point fingers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad that you're like, I didn't know if we were gonna make it through the first year because that like that I really struggled with it too because I everything was great when we were dating and then all of a sudden like everything went sideways and I was like, I was completely blindsided. I did not know that this was happening. So now fast forward, you're almost to 9 years and Do you ever like do the two of you ever look back and like laugh about things? Or do you like
Oh
not
yeah.
this? Okay, good. Yeah.
Like, wow, we were really bad at that. Like, we were awful at communicating with each other. Still can't believe we made it through that.
Yeah, right.
But like celebrations, like, look at us now. We'll
Yeah.
have moments all the time where we'll have a conversation or something will happen, and I'll just kind of laugh and say, like, we couldn't have done this 9 years ago. We could not have had this moment
Yeah.
back then.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I
I
love being able to see that growth.
Right. And I love that you guys can like laugh about it now because okay, wait, have you always been able to laugh about it or is it something that you were insecure about for a while?
Um, I mean, we couldn't laugh about it while we were still rigid. So for sure not then. Like, back however many years, that was not a laughable thing. But I think it's once we got over that hump
Hmm.
of like, oh, we can communicate. We are on the same team. That was a big aha. Like, we're actually not against each other like the world wants us to think we are.
Yeah.
I think that's when we were able to finally start looking back and laughing.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I think that I held on to like I have to be perfect for a little bit longer than I had to have been. And so anytime that my husband would like try to laugh about it or, like try to poke fun at me, I was like, that
Not
is
ready.
not funny at all. Like now I'm super pissed. But
Yeah.
then once I was like, oh, you know what? He is doing it like in good nature because like, hey, like look how far we've come. And here I'm like, that's not funny. But then now
Yeah.
like, we can like laugh about it or and it's honestly to be completely transparent, a lot of it was me. Like I was super rigid. I had a very black and white world and
Mhm.
right is right and wrong is wrong and this person is doing the wrong thing and we needed to address
Right.
it like 10 minutes ago so you can do it and be really nice about it or I'm going to do it and burn the bridge. Like what are you going to, you're not going to doing it? Okay, I just did it. Like but I didn't handle things in a great way. And so
Right. Right.
it caused a lot of turmoil that like we didn't need and it got to the point that I was able can you relate?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. 1,000,000,000%. Yeah.
But it got to the point that I would say to myself like, Alicia, is this even worth the turmoil in your marriage? Because at the time I was willing to die on every single hill and your hills too. And he would say, I don't
Right.
need you to be mad for me. I don't need you to be mad on my behalf. I don't need you to fight your
Mhm.
battles for me. I'm like, well, somebody has to. And he's like, it's not that important. Did you have that too?
Oh yeah, just in everything. I think when we're anxious about something, we want to like take control of everything
Yes.
to ease our anxiety. And
Mhm.
so like hardcore, like I was like, I will control, like we're gonna do it this way, and I am helping everyone
Right. Oh
by
my gosh. Yeah.
controlling everything.
Yes.
Right. That's
You're
that was
so good at
my
it. Yeah. Well,
this is my
especially,
job, the
right. Yeah.
stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. Well, and then I think that it would be hard to separate that out too because you were a teacher. So like lesson planning. And so you could like plan for everything, right? Like I'm gonna have,
Yes.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how when you come in as a stepmom and you try to control everything and like every person and every outcome, even if you're trying to do it covertly, like I was trying to do, like it totally like backfires.
Right, right. Yeah. And well, like come to find out like years later, my husband's like, yeah, remember how you always had dinner like ready and on the table when I got home from work? I'm like, yeah, that was so nice. Like that was what I was thinking. He's like, that drove me crazy. It's like, what?
Really?
Just relax a little bit. Like, just stop.
You don't have to be the
Stop.
Stepford wife?
I guess not. No, he's like, just like cool it. And like my wanting to schedules were very frustrating to me because I liked to have things planned out. I liked to know what each day was going to bring. And with kid going back and forth, there's always things coming up. Like you have to be flexible. And now I was not in a place of flexibility at that
Yeah,
point.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if like there was one schedule change, I was off the rails.
Right, like why would this happen, why are we have to change it all the time? And it was like I caught like resentful. I
Yeah.
became resentful because I was like, the schedule's always changing because of this and that, and
And you
like
didn't tell
angry.
me because you're a jerk, or like you didn't tell me
Yeah.
because you didn't want me to know. What? Yeah.
Yeah. Had to
The
let
yeah,
go.
the craziness. So would you say that your relationship now with your stepson is a lot better than it was in the beginning?
Oh yeah, for sure. For yeah, no question about that. It's like it's a unique type of relationship,
Mhm.
but it's special for it's a special relationship for us. So we have like certain things um that we connect over that he doesn't even have with his parents, that like
Mhm.
he's excited to tell me about this thing.
Yeah.
But it's like not in a way like his mom will always be
His mom.
mom and like the best thing ever, and I'm not trying to compete with that. And dad, like totally different type of relationship
Mhm.
there. I'm just like this bonus person that gets to be a part of his life. I don't have to try to parent him. I just get to like be a cheerleader for him and be like,
Mhm.
I support you. You're great. Right. That type of thing. So it doesn't look like my relationship with him is different than it is with the other kids. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think I would be messing things up more if I tried to make it the same type of relationship, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Makes complete sense. Yeah. I would say that that's my relationship with my stepson too. There are things like you, like he tells me, and I'm the only one that he tells because we're super close. Like he moved in full time. He was here for 3 years straight. And like it was just me. Like I solo parent half the week. And yeah, I moved in like right after my daughter was born. She was like 4 months old. And it was like me like taking them everywhere. Like I would just pack up a baby and like we would do whatever.
Oh,
But yeah, so same thing. Like we've got that special bond that we connect over, like outside of his mom and outside of his dad. And it's really nice to just, and I think that you'll get it because of what you just said. It's nice to have that relationship where you're not the mom and you're not the dad. Like you can just be Brittney and you can just be that extra person that gets to show up for them. And it's I'm like with your kids, like you tell them something 800 times, they don't listen, but then like your best friend will tell them and they listen, right? Like
yeah,
that's how I feel my relationship like or is like with him. Like his mom could tell him something, his dad could tell him something, but if I tell him something, he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's actually a good point. And I'm like,
yeah.
I've heard your dad and your mom, both of them tell
Tell
you
you the
this.
same thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
But same thing, like I don't feel like I need anymore. Like I don't feel like I need to prove like who I am. And same thing for my stepdaughter. Like I don't feel like I need to show up and show out and try to be this over the top person. I don't. Like they're adults now. Like they're out of the house. Like they're their own people.
Right.
And whatever relationship you formed with them when they were in the house, hopefully things went well enough that they'll want to come back and see you, or you are or they or you are like open to like repairing whatever relationship you had or didn't
Hmm.
have or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But and same thing, like back to growth isn't linear. Like relationships ebb and flow. Sometimes you're close, sometimes you're not, and it's people are in different stages on their journey of
Yeah.
whatever it is that looks like. But I think it's something that a lot of stepmoms that I coach are like, well, what do I be like? What am I supposed to do? Like, what role am I supposed to play? I'm like, okay, well, like, let's break down like what you think you should be doing
Hmm.
versus like what you actually want to do, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then what does the kid want you to be?
Yeah. And what gifts do you have to bring to the
Yeah.
table, right? Like that's um well, two things. First is I might have been ready before my stepson
Yeah.
was, right?
Same.
And that had to take time. And I couldn't force that. So that could have caused some frustration, like, hey, I'm ready for this type of
Hey.
relationship. Come on.
Yeah.
Right. But there's healing that has to be done on that side too.
Mhm.
But the other thing is like I love about our relationship now is he sees like certain character traits or like commonalities that we have. Things like he loves to come and ask me for like math help
Oh my
because
gosh, that was me too. Yeah.
I was a school teacher, right? And like he's like, oh yeah, teach me how to do this. And like he really valued my opinion. My other kids never ask me things like that, right? Like, mom, you're dumb, whatever.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But that was so special. And then music, like that's another area where we really connect. And he is like so excited to tell me about this and that with music. And I just love that he found that these common things that we have, things that are, I don't know if they're gifts or just whatever interest, special interests that
Mhm.
we have that makes that relationship extra unique and special.
Yeah. I remember when my husband said to me, okay, there are going to be times that you're going to have to wait for me and us to catch up to you. But then there are also going to be times that we have to wait for you to catch up to us.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
And it is such a good point, but did not receive it very well because I was in my like thick-headed part and I was like, I don't need you
What are
guys to
you
wait for
talking
me.
about?
Yeah, right. I don't need you guys to wait for me. Like I'm probably gonna have to be waiting for you guys. But then right. But then as I like replayed that annoying thought or like saying like over and over in my head, then I was able to like become a little more self-aware and be like, oh, I see what he's getting at.
Right, right.
There are times where I'm gonna need to get it together and ship up or like shape up and like get it together and like actually meet up with them. Do you ever
Yeah.
feel like you had to like you were in that part too where your husband and like maybe your stepson were further ahead than you and your daughter?
Yeah, in some ways. And while you're talking about it, I just made me think of how maybe not even like ahead of or behind, but just like in different places,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or like we have these family traditions and you're not used to them. You can like please come and be part of them, but um like in that place, if I'm like trying to fit myself into all of their things all the time, we get feeling like an outsider. Like
Right.
I'm here, but you guys already have your own thing. And that happens, that's pretty regular, like a typical thing for a lot of blended families. So
Yeah.
going both ways, any step parent
Yep.
might feel that way, feel like an outsider, feel like they don't belong. And that's why we create new traditions and like this new family unit. Like we're going to keep some of yours, we're going to keep some of mine, but we're also going to make new ones together so everyone feels like they belong here.
Yes. What was a tradition that you were like, okay, this one has got to go?
Oh, I don't know. Well, so one thing that like brought up a funny memory. My husband had like this big huge bean bag and he would take his son and he would just like throw him into it. And I was like, oh no, we're not doing that. Like he would do backflips into it and like it was fine for them. I was like, you're not doing that to my daughter. Like that's
She's
not
gonna break.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the things. I wouldn't call it a tradition, but that was one of the first memories. I was like, and it was like in the middle of the living room.
Oh yeah. So they
Like
could ricochet off into whatever.
you couldn't walk around in the living
Oh,
room. And so it's like this has got to go somewhere else.
oh yeah, for sure.
But um like and there were things that I did. Like I was pretty rigid on there's in our church they have like this big general conference thing where we get to listen to our church leaders. And I was like, we have to sit down as a family and we have to all listen to all every single talk and we eat these foods and like this is how we do it.
I can see that this is gonna go well.
Yeah, it was like no, that's not how it's gonna go. Like yeah, we can watch some of it, great, but it's not gonna go exactly like that. I was like, but this is how we always do it, right? Like panic, like
Yeah.
I just chill, it's okay to make some changes.
Yeah.
uh
But like the lack of control, right?
yeah, yeah,
That is crazy. Well, and especially like you as, like having your own daughter, like you controlled everything.
yeah,
And it's great. Like, it's great to be the one in charge. It's great to be the one that has like all of the control. But then when you've got like this family that's already been formed and they've already got these traditions of flipping into the beanbag or whatever, or sitting and listening to all of these talks, it's, you don't really have that control. And I think that
Mhm.
is a huge part of the like the early stepmom struggles, is realizing I don't have as much control over my life as like I did before. But then
Right.
when you like can shift that mindset, then you're like, actually, I do have a lot more control than I think that I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
much
it's
control.
hard
It's
to
just
get to that,
putting your focus on the right place, right?
right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so for a new stepmom, what advice would you give them?
I would say, well, this sounds really cheesy because I'm a coach
Right?
for moms and blended families, but I would say find a coach. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be me, like doesn't have to be Alicia, but find someone. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay. There are things I learned like 2 years ago that I was like, well, gosh, that would have been nice to know a really long time ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know about loyalty bind. I didn't know what that
Hmm.
was. It took like I figured it out finally after 6 years. And then
Hmm.
like that was a really big aha for me. That was lovely. But if someone could helped me through that or helped me catch my thoughts, someone that wasn't my husband.
Yeah. Oh my
It
gosh. Yeah.
wasn't received well
Yeah.
from him.
Yeah. I
So
always say that too, like get help early and often. And I feel like people are like, oh yeah, you say that because you're a coach. No, I'm saying that because this gig is really hard.
yeah.
And for the most part, people that are stepmoms, like it's their first time doing this. And when you're learning something, even if you're learning to ride a bike, it's not like you just pick up a bike and you go. Like you're learning with someone that's older than you. Like they're helping you, they're giving you techniques, whatever.
Right.
You're starting a new job, like you've got a trainer, whatever the case may be. But yeah, getting help from someone, because you can research all of the free resources online. And
Mm-hmm.
that's great. Honestly, that's great. Like I know you have some, I have some too, but you're kind of just like, I think that this is what I need. And so you're like looking for that, but it might actually be something else.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
you're,
Guessing in
yeah, right, guessing, and you're
the
taking
dark.
years, or like you don't know about loyalty binds, or you don't understand why it's not okay to go to your partner about every single thing that you think.
Right.
And you're like,
Right.
oh, well, had I known that like a year in, like there would have been a lot of things that I would have done differently. Having said that, I wouldn't go back and like relive my early years as a stepmom. But now, if you can believe this, like I can say, like, I'm grateful for them because it makes me appreciate how great our relationship is now. And there's
Yeah.
so many things that don't bother me. I would say for the most part, I'm pretty unflappable. Like, you can roll with the punches. I'm kind of back to like being easygoing, which is kind of crazy because I was kind of a control freak. But like, um, it's you just get to that point where you're like, okay, I think that we've covered almost everything. I think we got this. We're a solid team now. I think we're good. And
Yeah.
then something will happen, right? But it's again, it's like
Yeah.
that communication, like learning how to like communicate about it and like
Hmm.
working through it. And we've had those times where you were talking earlier about how you and your husband are like, oh my gosh, like 9 years ago, like we would never have been able to have this conversation without it
Yeah.
turning into like this crazy, like, rah, whatever.
Disaster. Yeah.
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 Or you're
Yeah.
mad for days
Yeah. Yeah.
for nothing.
And I definitely would not be coaching people if it had been an easy road. And so
Yeah.
I really value that too. Like, that journey, that process was so hard for me. Like some people make it look really easy.
Hmm.
I don't understand. I like feel like they're lying, but
Yeah, for sure. I
when they're like,
agree.
oh, that's so easy. Um,
All you have to do is
but
this. No.
I can understand when people are like, these are the thoughts I'm having. Like, yeah, I hear you. I had all those same thoughts.
Yeah. But people
I
are always
know.
like, what? Really? Yes.
Yeah.
And this is funny, but whenever, well, not like it's funny, like, haha, not haha funny, but like funny weird. But whenever I ask stepmoms, like, okay, if you could change one thing in your stepfamily life to make it easier, what do you think they say? What's the very first thing you think they say?
Like setting boundaries. That's what's
Getting rid of
usually a
the ex.
response. Like, oh, okay,
That's
like
like,
ones that haven't made a transition through
yeah,
the
yeah. But
yeah,
honestly, that's the most
they
common thing. Like if we could make a
mm,
certain someone, wink, wink, disappear. I'm like,
hmm
yeah, I get that. But then there's like a whole new like set of everything that comes with that, right?
yeah.
So
Oh,
what to
that's a
wish
whole
for.
new thing. Like, my ex wasn't involved, and there was still issue. Like, there was
Yeah.
still issues. As my husband being the stepdad, like there's still things, even if
Yeah.
that person's not involved.
Yeah. Right. Do you ever feel like you're coaching your husband?
Now,
Um, yeah, now that you're a coach, yeah. Do you ever feel like you coach him sometimes? Covertly.
um, probably unintentionally, but sometimes I'm like, I'm going to tell you about this thing. Yeah, for sure. And I coach everyone I know. My kids, I'm coaching them all the time.
I know, yeah. Is that why you became a coach?
No, actually, like that's kind of it's kind of a long story, so I won't go into all the details. But one day I was just feeling super conflicted. Like there's something I should be doing, and I'm not doing that thing, and I
Hmm.
don't know what the thing is. I can't even explain. Like my
Hmm.
soul
Hmm.
was like, I've got to be doing something that's not happening. So I did a lot of soul searching, and like if I could create a dream job, what would it look like? And kind of ended up with like I'll be teaching people because my love of teaching, that's my background, that will always be a part of me. But also be like cheering people on and like being someone's personal cheerleader, like
Right, yeah.
rooting for them and kind of helping them through a process that I've gone through. And so I kind of floated around on that for a while and ended up with like it's blended families. That's been was one of my biggest challenges in life. Probably I think it was harder than going through a divorce.
Hmm.
It was like insane, so intense for a couple of years. Yeah, that's where I ended up. So
Yeah,
I feel really strongly, really passionate
yeah,
about it.
tell me, yeah. No, I love that. It's yeah, like I said, like you're the first stepmom coach that I've like interviewed, but I remember I don't remember like what or how I found you, but I remember like our early conversation and just being like, wow, she's so genuinely kind. Like just a genuine like you, like just a genuinely kind person. I'm like, if we live closer, we would be friends, like in real life.
We would. We've said that many times, right?
Yeah.
I wish you
No.
lived here.
Yeah, like not even just like I mean, we can just be internet besties for now, but I'm like,
Yeah,
if we lived closer, like we would totally be friends. I would be like, hey, I'm coming over. Like I'm coming
I
to
would
see
love that. Yeah,
you.
I need to vent.
Yeah, right. My husband's not listening again. Can I go to you? Oh my gosh. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for coming on. Where can everyone find you?
So my website is blendingbravely.com. I've got a course I'm going to be releasing really soon. Online course. I've been working on it for over a year.
Yeah, the
Uh,
courses take forever, right?
it's been a long time in the making, but whipping out my teacher skills to make all the workbooks and all the things to go
Oh
with
yeah.
it.
Oh my gosh,
So
yeah.
I'm really excited to be releasing that probably August or September. So
Okay.
we're really close.
Okay. Do you
Yep.
want to tell us what the course is about, or is it top secret stuff?
Oh yeah, it's just a like a complete transformation. So if you're ready to like change your whole life, start to finish, we focus on three main areas.
Okay.
So I have this vision of a fountain, like a water fountain.
I've heard you talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I call it
Yeah.
my family fountain.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and so at the top, um, that's where it fills up in a fountain. If
Hmm.
you're thinking of one, it fills up there and then it kind of spills out to the middle and then out to the bottom.
Hmm.
But you have to start at the top, and the top is ourselves as
Hmm.
individuals. So we have to strengthen ourselves as the mom or the bonus mom or whatever we are. And
Splendiva.
then we can focus. Yeah, our blend, our
Oh,
blendiva.
Splendiva.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yep. And then we can work on our partnership or relationship with our husband or partner, make that great, work on our communication skills, all the things. And then once we're good, once our partnership is good, then we can really influence the kids, and the water is just flowing, right? And
Yeah.
that is what a strong family is. You can't fill up the bottom and expect everybody else to be good.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a great like way to put it. Like you, I'm like doing the thing like
The
you.
visual.
Yeah, I'm doing the visual. Yeah, like you and then your partnership and then the family part. Yeah. If you're good, that's great. But then if your partnership is like not so great, like that's when I had a lot of struggles. Like if we weren't
Yeah,
doing that great because I wasn't great. So then like we weren't great. And then shockingly,
exactly.
like the family part wasn't great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so you have this
exactly.
course coming out. What else do you have?
I do one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
I've got some freebies on my website you can grab. My most popular one is called 13 Significant Steps to Blending a Family.
Okay.
So you can go grab that. I've got one about preventing mom burnout, bonus mom burnout. And then I've got one for family bonding ideas. So ways that you can connect better.
I
So
love
those
that.
are some of my
That's so
things.
great.
Oh, I also
Awesome.
have, I forgot my other one. I have a Facebook group for free that you can join
Oh yeah, yeah.
for moms and blended families. So we're working on growing that, and
I
it's been
love it.
fun to see
I
the
remember when
interactions
you
there.
launched that. I was like, that is so exciting. Well, and yours is really great because it's not because I'm in it, but it's not a come here and bash thing. And I think that when people like your group is the only like Facebook group I've ever been in as far as like step family stuff goes. And just from what I've heard, like people are like, oh, I'm not in Facebook groups because it's just like a bash session. Yours is
Yeah.
not like that at all. It's very like you run
No,
very well.
I am, that's not helpful for anyone. That's
Right.
kind of my mindset. So like if you actually want to grow, we've got to get out of that place. So I've had people leave the group because they
Oh,
wanted
really?
to, because they wanted to be bashing and complaining, and that's okay. Like that's it's not for everybody. So
Yeah.
it's a place to like move, put us in the right direction and the right mindset.
Oh my gosh, I love that you maintain that integrity of your group and just like, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So thank you so much. I will absolutely link everything in the show notes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brittney.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun little chat, night chat.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks for taking time to listen to this week's episode. If anything was helpful or resonated with you, please share it on social media and tag me. I'm just at Alicia Crosco. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and review while you're at it, that would also be really helpful. And if you find yourself struggling with your stepmom journey and you want a little bit more support without the hefty price tag of coaching, you might want to check out the Stepmom Side community, which is my own private community for stepmoms, where you get to connect with other stepmoms around the world and myself, where I hold weekly office hours and monthly group coaching. It's kind of like you have your own personal coach in your own back pocket. Again, without that hefty price tag. See you next week.